Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. This video is a compilation. It's going to be an hour long. It's going to show you basically the flanking strategy. It's going to show you a little bit of RNG, and it's going to show you some cool tactics and strategies that I came up with. And at the end, I'm going to have some full games that worked out pretty good for me in the past week. This is definitely one of the stranger ways to die. Keep your eye on the Ferdinand. I got 2,500 spotting damage, going to do 1,000 damage. But watch how this game ends for me and for the Ferdinand. He fired right at the point where he died. If you pay close attention, you see the shot coming out of his gun right at the moment that he exploded. Now in this driving tactic, the enemy tank is a turretless tank destroyer. And obviously it's in front of me, and he needs to line up a certain way in order to point his gun towards me. But he has a disadvantage in that I have an allied tank destroyer that is behind him, and the score, of course, is 12-2. So what's going to happen is he has very little choice. It's either go forward or backward. He's got his weak armor to my ally behind him. He's going to move forward, and because of that mistake, I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to push his gun so it points away from me. So watch how I do it. Now you first watch how I back up, and then I go forward and I push his gun away from me, and that's it. So it's a simple maneuver. He had no choice but to go forward because his weak armor was pointing towards my allies, and when he did it, I backed up, allowed him to get in front of me, went forward again, and it pushed his gun away from me, so he was unable to shoot at me. So that's another tactic. If you want to see it again, please rewind the video. This map is Himmelsdorf, and look at where I am on the map in the G4 area. I'm not sure if this is the exact location, but in the C3 area, there's a place where a lot of enemy tanks like to gather at the start of the game. They like to hide behind that building and snipe from there. And you'll notice that from this location, I can hit tanks that are in the C3 area. So check out this area and the sniping position. There is a way to shoot as I am. Look at where I am on the mini-map. Look at where I'm pointing. The Object 907 is halfway through. I can see beyond the road, deeper into the enemy territory, and the enemy doesn't expect you to be here. So that's one of the sniping locations that I like to use. And this is another sniping location that the enemy can use. As you can see, it's right here. Look at where he's located on the minimap, and you'll notice that he's able to shoot through the building, and he could shoot that E100 behind me probably if he wanted to. So this is another position you might want to check out right there. This map is Cliff. I'm going to show you my absolute favorite position on the map, Cliff, and that's right here. If you're lucky, you can get shots on these tanks without being spotted. But you got to have a great position, and you can only do it from the south side. Having better gun depression does make a difference. You'll notice he did not return fire, even though I was spotted. So what you're going to do is you're going to go forward to spot, and then reverse as far as you can when you take your shots. You absolutely can do it without being spotted. I've done it before. But you have to be very careful and very lucky, and you have to have the right tank. This tank is not ideal because it doesn't have the gun depression that is ideal for the maneuver. However, you can get the first shot in without being spotted at the point that you get the first shot in. And you get the stragglers over here too. I've already done 718 damage. No incoming, well, that's the first incoming shot from the mouse. But this is a great position. And you don't have to play it on the right side. You could play it a little bit to the left of that rock also. It does work well with the auto aim, so you can get in and out very quickly. So you go forward to spot. He's not going to spot you, that's for sure. And as long as no one is within proximity spotting range, and if like I said, if you got great gun depression, you'll be able to do this without being spotted. Or if you don't use the auto aim, using the auto aim does increase the chance that I get spotted. I do use the repair kit for my ammo rack, and obviously for the tracks. So now there's a Leopard 1 who is in proximity spotting range, and he'll be able to hit me too if he positions himself correctly. And it looks like a lot of the targets have dried up. So let's move on to the next video. Yeah, in this video I am going to show you a sniping position. The map is Swamp. The tank is a KV-122, and I use this position every time I play the game. One of two positions. There's a methodology that I use. This is the first location that I'm going to go to. If it's safe, you continue onwards. In this case, I was spotted, so I'm going to pull back. Somebody spotted the M6. It wasn't me, but he's going to be taken out of the game real fast. And then I'm going to advance. I've got 4 snipers backing me up from behind, so it's quite safe. I'm going to keep on advancing. I'm going to stay, obviously, close to the hill as much as possible, close to solid objects, see if there's any enemy tanks here. I don't want them to spot me. I want to stay low from this position and take shots at tanks like that Tiger out there. Now, the worst that you can be is in a crossfire. If you're in a crossfire, you're going to have a lot of trouble. You need really good situational awareness. I was spotted. I had the wrong angling for my tank. I didn't angle it properly. And I was too high, so the UDAS was able to hit me, but the Cromwell's going to take the UDAS out of the game. You can see I've got a lot of targets. Now I got a T-29 I can shoot at. You want to stay low, get in a position behind solid objects. Avoid the crossfire. The crossfire is your worst enemy. You need incredible situational awareness. Got a lucky shot on that UDAS. They're taking my hit points down. It's because I'm in the crossfire. I'm in a bad position. Only got 1 sniper left, which is the Ferdinand. Okay, so I wanted to show you. Now this game is very interesting. I'm going to show you just a little clip. I am going to take some damage, but I'm also going to kill that IS-6. And watch how I do it. And this is what everybody's dream is. All I'm going to do is keep him tracked and let my allies do damage to him. And unfortunately, I'm not in a good position because the T-30 is going to get some good shots on me. And I don't have a good angle on my armor. He's hitting my side armor, which is bad angling for me. Now, you'll hear me say, don't go over the tops of the hills. Always go around the hills. Only a few tanks really have the good gun depression to go over those hills. So for the most part, a tank like an IS-6 don't ever go over the hill. And I also recommend alternating the tire tread. If you alternate the tire tread, then you could lengthen the amount of time that the tank is tracked, because obviously as it's repairing one track, you're damaging the other. It's got to restart over again. So I wanted to show you when you have an opportunity, tank cresting over the hill, just hit those tracks over and over again. Let your allies do the damage, and that tank was taken out of the game. Obviously, I only got 377 damage from that, but at least the tank was taken out of the game. This is Tier 8, 9, 10 battle. Keep your eye on that M4A1. You can see he took 730 damage because the Scorpion G, and there are 2 Scorpion Gs in this game, but that Scorpion G did team damage to him. M4 responded. I don't know if the STI also shot at him. The reason why I stopped is because I'm reporting the Scorpion G player. And based on the chat, you see that M4, he's down to like 130 hit points now. Based on the chat, he said that he shot at that tank because he did that pattern. And then someone said, well, I'm looking at his stats, and his stats aren't that good. And he responded by saying, well, I know what clan he's in, and based on the clan that he's in, he's a stat pattern. And he also went on to say Every time he shoots at splatters, it doesn't turn him blue. So even after he died, he was harassing us in the game. Now he just made a comment that other people are ruining the game, and he's referring to stat patterns. I don't know if you noticed that in the chat, but there's going to be a lot of weird chat from him even after he died. You know, he's just going to annoy us. No one's really happy with him, and not everybody gets to see what's going on. But the team killing system is going to take care of it. He'll turn blue if he engages in team killing. The reporting system I don't think is that effective, but I just wanted to point out this game. This right here is one of my favorite sniping positions in these bushes over here. I like to knock the trees down. You can get a good distance, lots of cover. You can hit many of the enemy targets. You're somewhat more forward than some of the other tanks. But notice that the LTTB hit me, and I wasn't spotted. And then the Indian Panzer hit me. And then the IS-3 hit me. And the reason why is because the TVP was spotted, and then he started hiding behind me so that I would take the damage that was meant for him. And I've had this happen before. This is not the first time it's happened. I don't think I've been spotted yet, and these tanks are using me as a shield. And so I'm taking damage. Now he's dead, so I'm not worried about it anymore. But I lost half my hit points because of what he did. And it's really poor playing style. There's two or three reasons why you should never play that close to an ally, even what the Bat Chat was doing. And the reason why is, number one, with the artillery in the game, they can hit many tanks at the same time. The artillery is looking for clusters of enemy tanks, and we had three, me, the TVP, and the Bat Chat, all in striking distance with one shot. Number two, it's not right for you to attract attention to a location where someone else is hiding, especially if it's a spotter. They might accidentally take damage or might have to leave cover and expose themselves. But number three, it's really not fair to use an ally as a shield to take your damage when you had the poor camouflage. This isn't the first time it's happened to me. This is an example of one of the games of poor gameplay. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the Fury. This is an American Tier 6 medium tank. It's also a premium tank. And the map is El Haluf. I'm taking basically the normal path that I take in this game. And this is going to be a great game. I'm going to flank the enemy exactly the way I like the game to turn out. This is actually, of all the different ways, this is the safest way to go down. You come through these hills, unlikely to get spotted, and you head for either the low areas or for these bushes and advance as far as you can. And if I believe there's a chance I'm going to get spotted, I'm going to stop, but I usually head for that rock in front of me. I love this tank. I like the mobility. I like the angling on the front. It looks like I made it without being spotted. I spotted, I don't know, perhaps 4 or 5 tanks on the way there. Sometimes you can get shots on those tanks as they're crossing over, but you do have to watch out. You can get spotted, especially if a spotter goes to the cap area, and a lot of spotters will. You can see that there's a lot of opportunities to hit tanks unsuspecting. But what they don't know is that they can easily be flanked. If that tank is currently stunned, which means that his spotting range is going to be reduced, so it's usually safe to take shots at them. Missed a lot of shots. And I don't equip my tanks for sniping. I equip my tanks for spotting. So I gauge how many tanks have been spotted. There've only been 2 on the south side. Not that many, very lightly defended. I got good defense. I've got 5 tanks supporting me, plus 1 SPG. So I decided to head to do the flank maneuver. Normally what I would do is I would head between those mound structures and go directly up the hill. You can see I decided to turn. I changed my mind about where I was heading because I wanted to see if I could hit that tiger, help my allies out. Help your allies out as much as you can because you want to keep your allies in the game, but you don't want them to be preoccupied with 1 or 2 tanks in a corner of the map. You want them to be free to go anywhere they want. You'll notice I was able to spot the SPG, but he's going to get away. Miss. Got one shot in. I don't think he's going to be trouble. He's not going to last that long. Or if he does, he's just not going to be trouble in this game. So you notice that I'm staying close to the mound because I don't want to take any incoming from that SPG. The problem with hitting these tanks is that they're going to come after you as soon as they know that, well, some of them are not quite as smart and they won't react, but some of them will. So they're going to come after you. I was spotted. Unfortunately, his armor can't compete with mine. I did have some trouble driving over here. And again, I like these tanks. These are like the Sherman-style tanks. And I predicted where he was coming from. So I kind of predicted, well, I think he's going to come up through this gap over here. So I'm going to go that way. Go in for the ram. Always go for that ram. You want to use your frontal armor, the flat side of your frontal armor, to try and hit the corner of his tank, not head on. This way you can track him and not hit his strongest armor. He's probably going to get sniped. Yep, there he goes. Stay in a position where the artillery cannot hit you. Check if you can help out your allies. You can see that I cannot help my allies at this location. Score is 8-4. We are winning. And I'm going to obviously be causing some headaches for some more tanks over here. Got 700 damage, 500 spotting damage. Now this is a difficult tank to ram. I'm not going to do a lot of ramming damage on a tank like this, but all of my maneuvering is to try and ram it. No matter what direction he goes, I'm still trying to ram him. In this case, you want to avoid pointing the rear of your tank towards an arty. Obviously, you want to turn it around as quickly as possible. If not, kill him before he reloads. He was able to get a shot in on me. Did 306 damage. And the score is 14-4. So I don't think we're going to get any more action in this game. Got 2 kills, 1,255 damage, 671 spotting. Did I turn the tide in the game? Well, I was able to get those 2 Hellcats killed, even though I didn't kill them myself. My allies did. I got a couple of kills. I distracted their flank. I think I pulled at least 3 tanks out of their northwestern flank. And that's the game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Now in this game, an enemy Pershing has taken the center hill, which is right to my left. And I'm going to assist my allies to kill that tank. And it's very important because that center hill is one of the most powerful positions in the game. And the reason why it's powerful is because from there, he can hit everybody in our backfield, the T-30, the FV-4202, the T-34, he can hit me, he can hit all sorts of tanks back there, and plus he can keep us spotted for his artillery, plus he can defend where his KV-5 is, he can hit the VK-101P, and he can hit the Pershing, and if the IS-3 and the Foch advance, he can help hit those tanks also. So right now he just became spotted again. And I haven't really taken notice of him, or he hasn't been a concern to me yet. But I noticed that he probably took a shot at me. And there he is. You can see him up on the hill. He just did some damage to me. He's playing on a little bit of a lower level of the hill. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to keep him spotted. And he doesn't have the gun depression to shoot at me. But what's going to happen is any time that he points his gun away, I'm going to watch his gun. If he points his gun away, I'm going to pull out into the water and take a shot at him. And I'm going to keep him busy so that my allies can line up a shot on him. You can see I'm positioning my strong frontal armor to face towards him. Putting myself in a better position now, I'll be able to shoot him from here. Whenever I'm ready, I'll be able to go out and take a shot. Trying to set his engine on fire with a high explosive round to the side of the engine area. Oh, that would be a beautiful shot if you could hit the engine right there. Maybe not that great of a shot. But the fuel tanks. So you notice that he left. So I'm going to have to turn my tank around to put my strong armor facing him. And my allies are getting a lot of shots in, and now he is dead. So that's how you pin an enemy down, and you keep him spotted, and you force him to retreat to get him out of that powerful position. I did 500 damage, 450 spotting. Wasn't very valuable in terms of damage or spotting damage. However, it was very valuable for my team to get him out of that position, and now it allows me to flank either the VK or I could flank where the T-28 is. Okay, so that's the amount of the game that I wanted to show you. This is beyond the scope of the game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX M449. This is a French Tier 8 heavy tank. The map is, don't remember. It's some Asian map, right? What is it called? Asia something. Okay, so let's not worry about the name. Now, I play every map with the same strategy. Try to control the middle, and I do it on this one also. In this particular game, and it doesn't matter what tank I'm using. If I use a heavy tank, tank destroyer, light tank, or medium tank, I'm going to play the same strategy. I'm going to go through the middle, and the idea is to flank either the tanks in the southeast or the ones in the northwest. Usually the ones in the southeast are easier to flank, such as where that Foch is, even though I won't be able to hit that Foch very easily. So you sit up over here and you take a look over there where that KV-5 is, and there you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Now the KV-5, he's got really good armor on that, and you can throw all sorts of different rounds at it and have trouble penetrating. So the KV-5, he's far enough away, he's at the edge of my spotting range. And he probably has no idea where the incoming fire is coming from, and he doesn't really have a place to hide. And there's lots of bushes to cover me, between me and him. So I can take a lot of shots at him. It looks like a T-69 is also getting shots at him. But it was very easy just to get into this position, hit those slow-moving tanks as they're heading to fight in the southeast, and that's it. And if the Chrysler moves up, he's going to have the same problem that the KV-5 had. And because of this little battle, we outnumbered the Foch in the southeast. My allies were able to gang up on him. The enemy never made it to the battlefield. There's 4 tanks in the south, never made it to the battlefield. Luckily, I had an IS-6 and a T-69 who came with me through the middle. But they're not in a good position. The reason why they're not in a good position is because they can get spotted easily, and they're going to get a lot of incoming fire. My position, yes, you can get spotted here, but the tank has to pretty much be next to you. So I assumed that the enemy was retreating towards defensive positions near the base, so I knew I had to advance. I was able to do 639 damage against the KV-5, which is about a third of its hit points, and I got some spotting damage. Now we've got 6 against apparently 4, and we have them on 2 different flanks. We've kind of pinned them into the corner. You do got to watch out for that artillery. But he's got to watch out more for me, I suppose. Normally, with most tanks, I would come in at an angle, even if I'm going over the crest of a hill, because you always want to keep your armor angled. You'll notice that I changed the angle of my armor instead of going straight up the hill. That's a Chrysler, so I'm probably going to have to switch to the high explosive rounds. And I'm going to, you see, I switched to the high explosive rounds, and I'm going to give myself a better defensive position. I'm going to aim for that turret. I did 66 damage. Still aiming for that side turret. You don't want to hit the turret head on. Hit it a little bit more to the side. Hope you get him when he turns his gun. That's when he's a sucker. That's when you're going to do a lot more damage. And you're increasing the chance you're going to hit an ammo rack or perhaps a crew member. If I had used AP or APCR rounds, they just would have ricocheted. So we basically took over the enemy base. They appear to have won in the northwest, even though we do have a tank remaining. We decided to go for a cap. Got 1,500 damage. I'm going to turn my frontal armor towards that tank. That round is just not going to penetrate. It's stupid to fire that. So I switched to the high explosive rounds. Of course, as he advances, I'm going to be able to shoot at his weaker armor with regular rounds. And you notice that I turned my tank to put my stronger armor facing the enemy. Tried to hit that side turret. I only did 50 damage with the high explosive rounds. 37 damage. You only got 9 left. You notice I changed my angle because I'm taking shots from that T-64. But it doesn't matter because we're going to cap anyway. And that's the game. 1,600 damage, 653 spotting damage. It shows you how easy it is to flank the enemy. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AC-4 Experimental. You know, I don't even know where this is in the tech tree. I believe it's a British Tier 6 medium tank, and the map is Mines. I know that this is an Australian tank, but it is in the British tech tree. It has a British crew. Now, a lot of people don't like this tank. It's not very popular because it's not very well armored, and the engine is not very powerful. I happen to love playing this tank because I like the fast-firing gun. And if you use the fuel consumable, it does make up for the sluggish driving. If you watch my videos, you know I go to a certain sniping position over here on the north. And occasionally you do encounter enemy tanks in this location. That Hellcat didn't last so well. But you can see that there's a lot of targets over here. Got to knock down that house because it'll be in the way. There's probably the house in the way, so I had to knock the house down. Don't use the APCR rounds. And you really don't want to use high explosive rounds. You want to use the AP rounds because the high explosive rounds don't penetrate as far through those types of objects. So we got that house cleared out. Did 300 damage, 400 spotting damage. There's a potential target, which is the OHO. He needs to reverse a little bit, or I need to find a better position. If you can get above that rock, if you got a lot of engine power, you can get higher than that rock, you might be able to hit that OHO. Oh, there he is, backing up. You want to fire even if it doesn't look like a clear shot, because there could be a little fence in the way or something like that that makes you look like you don't have a clear shot when you really do. And you'll notice that I'm not going forwards because my gun depression is better if I go at an angle or perpendicular to the OHO. And I am shooting high explosive rounds. That tank probably has spaced armor on the lower portion, but my regular rounds are not going to damage, not going to penetrate that tank easily. And you can see he has no idea where I am. I did switch to the APCR rounds. Was able to get some damage in. And that's 2 kills. Now, not only is that tank vulnerable, but tanks that snipe from behind the enemy base are also vulnerable. very easy to advance to where the T-25/2 is. You just head across and stay to the right, stay close to buildings, drive through the bushes. Very easy to do. Scores 8-4. Now my team was able to come around because we pushed back the Oho, we killed the Cromwell, killed the Hellcat. We cleared out this side, so my team is coming around. The KV-4, the enemy KV-4, he's in the south. It's not the best position for the KV-4, but he can hit that Black Prince and maybe the Challenger. Well, it looks like the Challenger is going to be behind a rock formation. But where the KV-4 is in the general area of how I do the southern flank. A lot more difficult to do the southern flank because it's a lot easier for the enemy to just send a tank there to defend. But the rewards are good. Also, you need to have pretty much, that flank has to be pretty much left open in order for it to work easily. That's a very well armored tank. It's going to be very expensive to do damage to it. Okay, the score is 12-6. I got 1,400 damage. Got a couple tanks left in the game. So that's going to be an easy win for us. I think that's all the interesting parts about the game. Let's move on to another video. This is the map Mines, and I'm going to show you a sniping position. This is my favorite sniping position on this map. From here, I'll be able to hit the E75, the IS-6. I can hit the snipers in the A4 area. You want to knock that house down. Don't use APCR rounds. Use a cheap round. Knock that house down. Unless you have the proper elevation to get over it. You can see that you need 2 shots to knock that house down. I didn't have good positioning. I got spotted. I should have repositioned my tank, but I didn't have the gun depression to shoot at the T-26E4. Going in for a second try. It's because the house is in the way. I need to shoot that house down. The house was blocking my shot. Now this IS-6, I'm reversing up the hill to try and get the shot. However, I reversed on the lower part of the hill. There's a lot of enemy tanks in front of me. There's 5 enemy tanks, plus the AMX AC-48 and the artillery. There's a lot of tanks over here, so this is not a normal game. They're not going to be able to advance around. They're not going to be able to flank my allies. Plus, by keeping these tanks spotted, my allies are going to be able to kill off those tanks one by one. Now that you want to knocking down houses can be good and can be bad. You want to try and knock down houses that are that your enemy is hiding behind. One of the mistakes that I made is that the IS-6 is clearly open, and for whatever reason I didn't notice it. What I should have done was driven up that hill and hit that IS-6. I missed a shot on the E75, but I'm going to get that guy. At some point I'm going to get him. A little bit of patience. I'm going to be able to hit that E75. He is a higher tier. I'm a tier 8. Hitting a tier 9 means I'm going to get more experience by doing damage to his tank. But I'm going to have to hit him on the side armor or on the side turret. And he is going to show it. You got to hunt around. There's obviously a building in the way that's blocking me from hitting him. He has to reverse. He's got 3 of my allies in front of him, so he has to get away from them. He's going to reverse, and that's when he's going to be vulnerable to my shot. The IS-6, according to the mini-map, is vulnerable right now. I didn't notice it until it was too late. I will take shots at him, but there was plenty of opportunities that I could have had against the IS-6. I wasn't paying close enough attention. The T-26 is behind the mountain, so I won't be able to hit him. But you can see the IS-6 is right out there in the open. I don't have the gun depression, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive up the side of the mountain. Now remember, when you do this, I'm getting his attention. He's going to turn his gun towards me. So it only works so many times. And the Emil has now taken a position behind the E75. The IS-6 has turned his gun and his frontal armor towards me. Now the smart thing to do is to not do anything. Avoid artillery. There's the shot on the E75. Got 1,000 damage. Keep that IS-6 spotted. We're going to slowly kill off more of those tanks. The M6 is a one-shot, so he's worth it, and he's easy for me to get. I took a hit from the IS-6, and it shows you that the artillery can hit this location, especially with the larger burst radius. So what I need to do is move forward into the dip in front of me, so the artillery is less likely to be able to hit me. It's going to have to change the method that I used to hit the IS-6. I won't be able to go up perpendicular to him to get the gun depression. Going forward is way too risky. I'm trying to go sideways to see how high I can get. I can't get high enough. Going forward, he's going to spot me. Can't get good gun depression. But if I reverse up the hill, I can get the gun depression, maybe get a shot in without being spotted. I hit the hill. Was spotted. The IS-6 has got his eyes on me. E-75 has taken damage. Got a nice shot on that IS-6. Because of what I did, he's only seeing the turret of my tank. If I had moved forward, he might have gotten a shot at my hull. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the IS-2. This is a Russian Tier 7 heavy tank. It's also a premium tank, and the map is Ensk. This tank is an awesome tank. The reason it's got the same gun as the IS-6, but it's a Tier 7 tank with a, perhaps I guess it would be a Tier 8 gun. Does a lot of damage. I'm in a Tier 5 battle, 5 and 6 battle. I'm taking the standard maneuver. I've talked about this in other videos. I advance forward along the rail lines and this building, and the reason why is because I'm defended in all directions, but I can proximity spot enemy tanks that advance to my right on the other side of that building, and I can get behind them. The KV-1S, any tanks that advance to my right will be spotted and flanked. So obviously this tank is enough, does enough damage to take out an SPG. He's behind solid buildings. Was able to kill 2 tanks. Both of them were one-shots. Looks like there's another SPG. But you can see now the enemy is retreating into the defensive position in the north. Perhaps that was a stupid shot that I took. But I was able to show my team that this side is completely undefended. The T-34-85 would be able to advance further. I always try to take a frontmost position. I don't do as much damage as other players do. I do a lot more spotting. It's rare that I have a high damage game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this tank spotted until it's to my advantage. Now I have an ally show up. The correct thing for us to do is for one to go around one way and the other to go around the other way. He fired and missed, obviously. But he's now out of the game. So we didn't take on that KV-1S using the proper method. Wasn't a good strategy, but at least it worked out. These 2 tanks will be easy to take out. I wish that my allies had advanced further. The grill and... I'm sorry, the T-34 took out the grill, and the AMX took out the Wolverine. So now it's 11-4. We're way ahead. That was a sloppy shot. Again, I don't equip my tanks for shooting. They're equipped for spotting. So he's not going to have a stabilizer or anything like that on it, or a gun laying drive. I do a lot less damage, only 800 so far. I got 4 kills. Now it's just a hunt to kill the remaining tanks. But that's the way I advance on the east side. It was lightly defended. They did not take a forward position. I believe I was working on a mission for a heavy tank where I had to kill 4 tanks, 2 heavies and 2 mediums. So I was rushing in to kill one of those heavy or medium tanks. Lousy shot, going for the ram. Got 5 kills. 900 damage, and that's the game. There's another popular spotting bush, which is in that area behind that rock. But I like to use this one because it's a little bit more forward. You can see more tanks. I decided that there were no tanks, so I advanced. I'm staying low, going in the water. It's very dangerous because you're closer to the enemy that could be in the midfield, which are going to be the fast tanks like the Bat Chats, etc. So here I have to make the decision. Am I going to try and... The safe thing to do is to go left. The risky thing to do is to go right. I'm still trying to explore to see if it's possible to get some shots. Elevating my gun by going up that slope. I can't get any shots on any of those tanks, so I decided to head south. My team has not advanced forward yet. The enemy is doing too little too late. They do have a lot of the west side, but we're going to take the east. We're going to roll into their base. This location is where you're going to find the slow heavy tanks like the T-95 tank destroyer or the Churchill. They will be in this location where they just roll through this little gap over here. I'm going to spot a couple of tanks. Let my allies do as much damage as possible. I spotted an artillery, which I think is going to be taken out of the game. One of their autoloaders, the 5120, was taken out. The artillery was taken out of the game. Now the 416, I'm just going to keep him spotted, wait for my allies to catch up. Only go in if it's a sure shot. I'm very lightly armored. My allies are going around the south, the T-10 and the WZ-120, so I'm going to go around the other side of this mountain so I can hit the Object 416 from behind. He can only point his gun at one tank. And I'm going to go in for the ram. Before I reload, I'm going to get that ram in. 121 damage. I only took 10 damage on that. So the enemy left it vulnerable, the whole entire flank, and it allowed us to advance and control the east side and roll into their base. And that's the reason, that's the spotting position, and obviously you want to advance as quickly as possible into that location. Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the M4A1 Revolade. It's a French Tier 8 medium tank, and the map is Serene Coast. I'm going to show you a spotting location, a sniping location, and the enemy is going to leave the entire eastern flank open, and we're going to flank the enemy. We're going to just roll right forward. Now, the spotting location, there's lots of bushes right over here. The safest one is obviously on the right next to the house. And there's some that you can double bush in. And over here, if you don't have a long spotting range, this is a good position. If you look at where the T-28 prototype and the Charioteer are near the bridge, there's another popular spotting bush. Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the M46 Patton. This is an American Tier 9 medium tank, and the map is Overlord. Now, in this game, the enemy team is going to leave the eastern flank, for the most part, undefended and open. Even somewhat towards the center of the map. And we're going to take advantage of it, and we're going to obviously win this game. And basically what I do is I go as fast as I can to the front line, try to get some intelligence. I know that there's going to be less enemy tanks along the red line. If there's a lot of tanks, I'll try to snipe across and do some damage to them, and try and advance and get behind them without being spotted. Now, this is a spot where, from this location, you can snipe. Sorry for that break. So from that location, you can snipe across to the center of the map, and from here you can see the backfield. Now in this case we have a tier 8, I believe it's a heavy tank, it's a premium tank. In the back you're going to find slow tanks like the T-95. You're going to find the lower tier tanks. It is a tier 10 game. And he is a tier 8 tank. And because you're going to find the premium tanks in the back, because he's probably a lower tier player who purchased a higher tier premium tank, and he doesn't have a lot of experience with higher tier games, so that's why he's probably in the back more. Now you'll notice I'm going to the corner, and the reason why is from the corner you have better control over your gun depression. I can shoot at tanks in all directions when I'm in the corner. And I can use my gun depression two different ways. I can go head on. In this case, it would not work. Or I can just go over the side. And you'll notice that over the side, I'm getting better gun depression than if I were to go head on over that ridge. He is low on hit points. And the smart thing to do is to wait for my ally and to go in 2 at 1. He can't shoot at both of us. And I do like to use the auto aim because I like to fire as quickly as possible. His armor is well defended in this case. But my plan is always to get beside him, which I would have done, but the SPG obviously took him out. So what I would have done was I would have gotten onto his side armor. So you'll notice that we got a T-34 over here. He's going to be easy to take out. Even though I'm spotted, there's not a lot of tanks back here that can really do anything about it. So obviously, you want to go high when you want to spot other tanks and go low when you don't want to be spotted. Stay close to that red line. Normally I would count how many tanks have already been spotted so I can estimate if there's anybody that hasn't been spotted yet in the game. I did get 1 kill so far, and I've done 1,500 spotting damage. So as you can see, the STI is very vulnerable, the ST1, very vulnerable because I am hitting him from the rear flank along with the Tiger II. Scorpion G has full health right now. Those are very dangerous tanks. That's the most popular tank in the game, and the reason why is because the gun has a very high penetration and it does a decent amount of damage. So it's a very overpowered tank, and that's why it's very popular, and he's pretty much out of the game. In just a matter of a few seconds, his hit points went down to 25. And it was because not only did the Tiger and I take the wide flank, but some of the other heavy tanks, like the T-32, were able to flank the VK, and they are now surrounding the VK. The score is 11-5. I got it up to 1,750 spotting damage, 1,100 damage. I'm going to the cap. You do earn capping points. Even though we're going to win by killing all the enemy tanks, you do earn capping points by sitting on the cap. I don't know if you get the EXP for sitting on the cap. I did do a platoon request because I'm looking for an 8-kill platoon, but unfortunately we're not going to get an 8-kill platoon in this game. Okay, so that's the end of the action for me. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the Foch. This is a French Tier 9 tank destroyer, and the map is Fjords. I am going to get 5 kills in this game. I'm going to do 6,300 damage, and I'm going to get 1,400 base EXP. Now, the reason why I'm playing this tank is because I am completing the process of leveling it up to Tier 10, which I've already done. And this was part of the process of the game period over a weekend. This is one of the positions that I like to use to snipe from, but this particular tank, without the fuel consumable, very hard to climb up into here. I made it look so easily, but I've had a lot of trouble getting up into this position. And I like this position because you got pretty good coverage from the tanks that are coming through the midfield. The tanks in the northeast, as well as the tanks that might be coming from the center of the map. And this tank is definitely a powerful tank. It's got a great gun on it. I loved playing it. And I did play a little bit differently. I played it more as a sniping tank. Normally, I try to play on the front lines close to the enemy. However, as part of the Object 260 campaign mission, I had to do some missions where I had to do damage without being spotted, which is one of the reasons why I'm staying further back in the game. And I did complete the mission. I believe it was 4,000 damage without being spotted. So from here, obviously, you can snipe at tanks in the north. I can switch between the two very easily, very quickly. You really want to hit him on the side in this case. WZ has a very strong turret. And at that distance, I wish I had a better sniping tank. If you really want to do a long distance, he's at 500 meters, you really need the Swedish tanks to be able to snipe well from that distance. And as long as I can afford the rounds, I always fire even when the tanks become unspotted. You have to have great situational awareness. You have to keep an eye on what's going on in all directions. You can see that my team is advancing, which means that the chance that I get another shot in on that flank is very small. So I'm going to start watching the other flank. And the other thing about this position is once you leave this position, once the battlefield changes, you really aren't going to come back to it. But it is a good position. Got to be very careful here because I do have an ally. Don't want to cause any team damage. It looks like the enemy T-26E4 has climbed up the hill, and he's a potential threat, so I got to watch out for him. Using APCR rounds, strong frontal armor. KV-5 has very strong frontal armor. And the APCR did not penetrate his strong frontal armor, so I'm going to aim using the sniper mode, hitting the side armor. That angle I should have no problem. Switching back to the AP on my next shot, it will reload with AP rounds. You might have a question, how do you know how many APCR rounds? Well, first you have to learn how to switch during the game, and once you're able to switch freely during the game, then you'll know how many APCR rounds you want to carry in the game. But it's no use to have them if you forget to use them, or if you don't have the key command set, and it's not an instinct. So you can see that AMX, he moved into a position where I couldn't shoot him, so I have to reposition. And there is a Taurus there. He's a really big threat. Well-defended tank. Very difficult to get the weak spots on that tank. And this gun is not the most accurate. So even if you know where the weak spots are, still a little difficult. But hitting the roof, pretty much anywhere on the roof, should be a giant weak spot. Scores 8-4. I got 2,200 damage. Got 2 kills. That was obviously a lucky shot that missed. You'll notice that we're starting to encircle the enemy. Now at this point, if you want to get those kills, you really got to reposition and hunt the enemy down, because I'm not in a great position in order to get the remaining tanks. I mean, obviously I can get this T-34 while he's still out in the open, but as they move, they're taking up positions that make it difficult for me to get them. You can see we have a T-95. I'm pinging the map to alert them to where the T-95 is. And you can see that we're losing in the south. It's 11-8. We lost our final tank in the south, 11-9. It's very dangerous when you play a game and you have the end game, whereas similar to this, because you've got some tanks that just don't understand that they should go in as a group, that they should go on both flanks, etc. The IS-6 has low hit points. We've got the T-44. The T-44 is not in a good position. Well, actually, the T-44 could be, potentially. He could get some shots on those tanks as they come out there. For this tank, you got a couple of choices. You either hurry and get behind him, keep him tracked as much as possible, but get behind him. You'll notice that he did not return fire. I got behind him. Now he's got to take shots from two directions. Try to hit that rear engine as much as possible. Reverse, increase the distance so I can have a better choice. If he moves around, it's easier for me to pick a weak spot if I increase distance. Obviously, I stop when I'm aiming, and while I'm reloading, I pick a new position. We're able to take him out very easily. Still a very dangerous game. It's 13-12. Got 3 kills, 4,300 damage. Now the last 2 tanks are very, very strong tanks, and the IS-6 has very low hit points, and the AMX is a light tank, so he's not well protected. So we're not in a strong position. Those 2 tanks are probably going to be heading for that cap right now. Type 4 Heavy could easily one-shot a lot of tanks. The T-44 said that his game had crashed, and when he got back in the game, I guess he was dead. So we got low hit points on the Object 252U. Don't know where the Type 4 Heavy is. Loading up the APCR rounds. It'll be a tough battle. If the AMX doesn't make it, I gotta wait for the IS-6 to catch up. Got a lucky shot on that guy. Now the Type 4 Heavy, with 3 of us, we can easily take him out. We just have to surround him, use the big guns to do the damage, and I obviously have the big gun. And let the other tanks be the patsy. I don't like the fact that the AMX is behind me. He should be in a better position. Got a lucky shot on that frontal armor there. Took some damage, but I think we'll be able to take him out if I can get him on the side armor. Gotta fire that gun. Lucky shot. That was 5,500 damage. No, actually I got more. I got 6,300 damage because there was some damage on unspotted tanks. I got 5 kills and 1,400 EXP. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the Panzer 58 Mutz. This is a German Tier 8 medium tank, and the map is Ruinberg. This is actually a good overall tank. I enjoy playing it. I don't really have good games in it for one reason or the other. It's not really compatible with my playing style for some reason. Or maybe I just had a bad stroke of luck. I do play internationally. I have a lot of latency issues. A lot of games where I just drove into the water. Things like that happen. And it could be that when I purchased this tank, I just didn't have a good internet connection. Now my connection is a little bit more reliable. One of the good things about this position, I always advocate playing in the center of the tank, but from the center of the field. But from this position, from either side, you can spot all the way to the backfield, including the SPGs. So if you can make it to this position, if you need to kill SPGs, just run to this position and spot them in the backfield and take shots at them. But remember, they can hit you too, and it's very close to their base. So those enemy TDs, they're going to set up and they're going to be waiting for you when you come down this road. A little crossover over here, which is a little bit safer way to cross. I am going to do well in this game. Now you'll notice that I got a lot of teammates on the field on the east side, and it looks like the enemy has a reasonable amount of tanks on the east side also. So we're pretty much evenly matched, and in town we're also pretty much evenly matched. It's a pretty much slow-going game in town. Saw that this tank was low on hit points, so I thought he'd be an easy target. And I am the top tier. I am a tier 8 tank. So I do have an advantage over these other tanks. Last thing you want to do, that Bulldog should never have taken that position. That was horrible for him. And you want to make sure that you resolve your stunned crew before you take your shot. Otherwise, you're certainly going to miss. So you got to use that repair kit if you have it. But that tank that was in the distance was very vulnerable. Got a lucky shot on that. Being stunned means you're going to have a lousy shot. And once a tank is focused on you, they're going to keep firing at you over and over again. So you really want to do something about those SPGs. If they're focused on you, you really want to disappear. I got 500 damage, 1 kill. But like I said, this is going to end up being a really good game. Now you see that AMX is showing up, and the M4. This is why I like to play in the middle of the map. You can shoot at those tanks and they never know that you're there. They won't even spot you. As long as you position yourself correctly with enough bushes between you and them, you won't be spotted, and you get to hit them on the side armor. If you're a low tier tank, you can penetrate the weaker side armor. Scores 4-4. It's a pretty even game. Very easy to get shots on that. If you haven't tried shooting from that position, I highly recommend. It's easier to do so on the northern team. On the southern team, it's a little bit more risky. You just don't have as much of a view. Less options. A lot easier for the enemy to spot you. So I got 3 kills, score 7-5, 1,500 damage. That was a blind kill. I killed the Crusader when he wasn't spotted, just by projecting where I thought his position was. That's 1,500 damage. Now you can see we've got a low hit point tank while he's out of the game. And the score is 11-5, so we're obviously going to clean up. You want to make decisions very quickly. You want to hunt the enemy down. Don't wait. If you want to get lots of kills, you got to chase them down and you got to work for it. You got a lot of allies that are going to be doing the same thing. And the ones that just sit back and do nothing don't get the kill. It's 5 kills, got the ammo rack, 1,500 damage. Got a poodle over there. So obviously someone needs to spot those tanks. They're right at the edge of my spotting range. But what happens with those tanks where they are? If they're planning on shooting at that poodle, they're going to be very vulnerable. They're not in a good position. That's 6 kills. When you're shooting at a long distance, that tank is... This one is 395 meters. That one I was able to use the auto aim because he stopped moving. I got 7 kills. But at the distance that they are, 400 meters, you really got to aim manually and try to project where they're going to be. Okay, so that's the game. 1,700 damage, 7 kills. Yeah, hello, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos. If you like my videos, please subscribe or like the videos. It's very important that I get more subscribers. It's very difficult to justify the amount of time it takes to put into making videos. It took me 4 hours to make the videos that I uploaded for today, and I don't get enough viewers to justify uploading more videos. However, I am self-employed and I work from home, and I would upload great videos every day. If I had more viewers, I really need to get a couple thousand views per day or per video in order to justify uploading more. So if you want to see more videos, please subscribe or like the video and tell your friends. And if you want to join my clan, it's CBKS. And I also own CBKS2 and CBSPG, which is a clan for SPGs. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.